Chapter 48. It is as though the planet itself is drawing a deep breath before it begins to literally shudder and shake in an effort to focus its energies toward saving itself from the abuse it is yet absorbing. In its collectivized thought process, it seems to be coming to the conclusion that enough is enough and that it is time to begin a retaliating process in order to release itself from the relentless onslaught of destructive activities that its borders are deliberately engaging in at her expense. As all manifestations are a balance of energies, it may be considered that the Earth is a womb or receiver, receptacle of the creative energies that are focused through the star, sun, energy that is the center of this planetary system. At the moment, it is the only planet in this solar system supporting third-dimensional evolving humans on its surface. While currently known history of this planet seems like a long time in the human reality system, planetary history covers what seems like measureless time periods when considered in a sequential time mode. Difficult as it is to encompass, there are other logical systems of perceiving the evolutionary process. When the mind is fully activated, the ability to transcend the need to observe in a linear mode allows a shift to a process that relegates the resultant time factor from the controlling influence in observation to a variable of little importance. The process itself becomes the governing focus, allowing the mind to become absorbed and to encompass the flow of multifaceted interaction within the whole graphic scenario that is being played out. The ability to change the mode of observation through greater ability to observe the many parts of a whole interacting simultaneously changes the awareness of the self within this view of the unlimited movement of energies. As the perception expands to encompass the greater energetic picture, the self-awareness changes in correlation to this expansion of comprehension abilities. Through the expanded ability to perceive a situation from a more inclusive viewpoint, it is understood in a different dimensional point of view. In this way, it can be said that life is being experienced within a greater or higher dimensional plane of observation. This does not indicate an easier level of experience, but one that is more inclusive of causes and details that went unnoticed within prior available abilities. Acuity of thought along with the desire to know more in order to express more precede dimensional changes. In other words, the ability must be developed and practiced before it is possible to move into the higher dimensions of experience. The move does not come before the development of the skills to experience and maintain the necessary focus needed to remain at that dimensional level. The shift to higher dimensions is earned, or remembered, by practicing now. At the basis of dimensional shifts is appreciation of the gift of self-awareness. This is not accomplished through or in tandem with self-deprecation. The self always does the best it can within the environment that is provided by its own surrounding thoughts. As it is immersed in self-appreciation, it grows in expression. However, if surrounded by criticism and thoughts that belittle it, it shrinks and is robbed of the ability to express its life energy effectively. The difference between self-appreciation and self-aggrandizement must be thoroughly understood. The important factor is whether or not the process is based on comparison with others. What is considered within the self without the necessity of comparing the self to others is the key. Each rises within its own world of self-awareness. What others think or what self thinks it has accomplished compared to others is of no value in the overall journey through third-dimensional experience. Each journey is self-contained. Others are present as mirrors in which to observe the self. What is seen in others is the reflection of what the self is unable to see by looking within. It is said that each is alone in a hall of mirrors. Until the self is willing to recognize itself in these mirrors, there is no way to find the door out of the hall. Finding the door already open is always a surprise, for it is impossible to determine when one has reached the ability to embody the facets of self-awareness necessary to integrate into the next dimensional experience. Much hype is circulating about the shift in the Earth's vibrations that will carry its inhabitants to a higher dimension. It is firmly stated here and now that humanity's capability to exist at the next higher level of dimensional experience will determine whether or not individuals will make that change. The Earth can and will make such a shift. How many will accompany her in that shift will be determined by those individuals themselves based on their personal abilities earned through appreciation of the personal self, and their ability to allow an expansion of their thought processes into new possibilities of experiencing what surrounds them here and now. The ability to release old familiar comfort zones and allow participation in creating a new paradigm of experience is far more challenging than is imagined when it is first considered. Adventure sounds intriguing, however. Stepping off the cliff into unknowable new experiences without any familiar frame of reference requires commitment and a large measure of courage. If it were not for the horror of knowing the truth of the genocide and enslavement that is planned, few would have the necessary incentive or courage to make the choice. It is simply an either-or choice. There is no in-between place to go. Looking at it from that perspective, Certainly creating a new experience based on self-appreciation that transcends the victim experience is far more appealing than riding the descending spiral into a long-standing greater victimhood. There are no rescuers in sight that care to become involved with those with too few guts to help themselves. The opportunity to continue this current experience of learning how to pull the self up by its own bootstraps through self-appreciation and possibility thinking is waiting elsewhere for the stubborn and the faint-hearted. The choice to be part of this scenario on this planet at this time was not an accident. You are here by choice to make a further choice. It is suggested that you do it and do it with style and enthusiasm. Chapter 49. The copies of the handbook for the new paradigm now circulating can be counted in the thousands, and embracing the rainbow in the hundreds. Each one is causing a ripple of change in the consciousness of the reader and in turn within the mass consciousness. The books are now traveling to many countries so that the change can begin to be worldwide. It is hoped that translations will be made and copies of these circulated. It is necessary that the focus of cooperation in creating a different experience become a global influence. Countries where the population has little or no access to communications other than government propaganda will require intervention of another kind. Trust that this problem is being given very special attention. Also, remember the 100th monkey theory. In this case, include a request for special methods of reaching these fellow humans in prayer and meditations. Help can be given for the highest and best good of those segments of humanity when it is requested for them. In reality, it is in support of what they are already asking for themselves. The tighter the oppressive situation, the greater the silent outcry of those experiencing it. Freedom to evolve is innately desired by all from the deepest levels of awareness. What may not be spoken, can be thought with great emotion. Though emphasized frequently throughout the messages, the power of thought as the prerequisite for the spoken word is powerful indeed. When thoughts and words are focused by many in agreement with passion and enthusiasm, a momentum is built to manifest the desired intention. As more contribute added momentum, the ripples become waves. When agreement and cooperation focus a positive desire for the highest and best good possible, there is little that can prevent the manifestation of what is intended. What is crucial to understand is that in the process of the creation of the new, the old must cease to exist, for both cannot share the same space, except as one is declining and the new is coming into reality. As this process is being experienced, it is critical that the focus be held firmly in place because it would be easy to interpret the necessary period of chaos and confusion as failure rather than to see it as the beginning stages of success. It is extremely important that all members of the ground crew have a firm understanding of the purpose of the period of chaos. It must happen in order to clear away the old and make space for the new. It also provides added available energies to be siphoned from the chaos and reformatted into the new intended pattern. It will be very challenging to acknowledge the breaking down of personal life patterns when they happen to each one as well as many others and know it is absolutely necessary in order to manifest a vastly improved way of life. This is the reason that the messages began with admonitions to prepare for change in the best ways possible. This is extremely challenging in view of the urban lifestyle the majority of modern humanity lives, depending on the availability of food from stores and restaurants that require supplies to be delivered daily from faraway sources. Jobs depend on utilities and lines of communications, for few produce actual products that would aid in survival. 50 years ago, in times of stress, most people had family living on farms that could assist in providing basic food necessities for at least a period of time. Even in what is called third world countries, the small farmers have been pushed off their land to make way for factory farming operations. Humanity has allowed itself to be placed in dire straits indeed, for basic survival needs are controlled and in short supply worldwide. This information is not for the purpose of promoting fear, but so that each may consider carefully what is not only possible, but also probable in the near future. Those that have given little concern for the plight of the farmer, rancher in the past should now understand and rethink their concerns. The push is on to eliminate those that have survived. These are a tenacious and efficient group that have constantly devised ways to stay on the land. There are too few of them left to feed the urban multitudes outside the established import system. This is a true picture worldwide. Humans, when there is necessity, can be amazingly creative. But could the modern urban dweller survive if all the modern conveniences were to disappear? Those who have spent their lives in an urban environment would do well to research and plan some what-if scenarios with their families. What would be true necessities if there were only crickets for entertainment? Basic survival necessities are seldom found in the modern urban household. If the faucets don't provide water, where would it be found and how could it be made drinkable? It is time to consider this basic issue with logic and planning. The answers will not be found on TV, in videos, or the movies. There are excellent homesteading information sources available, magazines and books. There are military survival handbooks, etc. Some are out of print and difficult, but not impossible to find. It would be wise to consider priorities and perhaps consider different choices with regard to what can be acquired and stored to satisfy possible future requirements. End chapter 49.